Hello, everybody. We were rambling. Sorry we're late. I am not paying you a late fee. Absolutely not. Good try, though. Good try.
Did someone just write that?
Yeah, look. Lawrence said that I need to pay them all a late fee.
Yeah. That's funny.
I hope you're not clapping to his late fee and you're clapping to us actually coming.
Right.
All right. I'm Kat, the Nurse Flipper. If you do not know, I am joined by my co-host, Rod, Picking and Punching. Below me is Katey Reed. She has been on with us quite a few times. And Caddy Corner is Patrick. He goes by Patrick the Picker. He's here on YouTube as well, and it's his first time. So we are happy to have both of them here. I am going to make them big, let them introduce themselves. We have 15 questions before we're starting, guys. Get the questions in early. Get them in early. All right. Here is Katey.
Hi, guys. My name is Katey. I am Katey Reads on all platforms. I sell primarily books. I have a YouTube channel, Instagram, all the things. And on that channel, I just teach you how to find books. I mostly sell on eBay, not Amazon. So we talk about that a lot. And Whatnot. I talk about Whatnot a lot on the channel as well.
Perfect. Here's Patrick.
Hi, guys. I'm Patrick. I'm in Connecticut, part-time reseller. I mostly sell on eBay, but also have presence on Marketplace and on on Amazon, doing FBA. My wife and our two twin boys go out to garage sales and stuff, find stuff to flip. Trying to just have a good time doing it too. So,
perfect. All right, let's see what we have up first. Rosie, coming in first, says, for the panelists who have sold art, what was your experience, positive and negative? And could you describe packaging process? And would you recommend selling art?
I do not sell art often, mostly art books. So there has been a couple times that I've sold art. It was in a frame, and the buyer actually requested that I remove the frame, and they asked if I would take a best offer if the frame was not included. In this situation, I was able to remove the frame and not hurt the art piece because it was fabric. It was like a embroidered fabric piece that was framed. So I did that, but after that experience, I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this again, because the whole shipping process, it being framed, not framed, it was just really, it's not my cup of tea. So that's my one and only experience.
I've got you by one, I think, Katey. I've done two, and both of them were a huge pain in the butt, same as you described. Just huge boxes. Want to make sure my frames were included, had to make sure that they wouldn't get damaged in transit. Of course, with the USPS dimensionality charge, got to go FedEx then. So that's not my normal process either. I only go for large packages there. So it's just like everything about it wasn't a lot of fun. It made good profit for sure. Just you also have to have a lot of room to store them while they're for sale. And it just wasn't my cup of tea. So I won't be doing that again anytime soon.
So I have sold some art pieces in the past, frame photos, other things as well. Gotta have to get a good sturdy box. Home Depot, art stores are good places to get supplies for that. Go to the dollar store, get those pool noodles, slice them in half and put it over the edges. That's how I ship a lot of my bigger framed items. They work as a great buffer and they do protect it. You can even double box too, depending on the size of it. If you have smaller art pieces, I have double boxed those in the past. That definitely helps out. But you have to go through UPS or FedEx. Don't ship through the Postal Service. And a ton of bubble wrap as well. Also, too, I always put pieces of cardboard or thicker pieces of cardboard on the front and back of it, just to add an extra layer before I bubble wrap it. So if something does go through a puncture of the package, you have those extra layers in there to protect it. And it's not fun though. It's time consuming. So I would say if you're going to do it, make sure that you're going to make enough money to make it worth your time.
Yeah, and I've sold quite a bit of art, and I'm actually getting ready to list quite a bit more, and it is all large art. So depending on the price, depends on how I ship it. My last painting sold for $3,000. So with that one, I used U-Ship, and it was hand delivered. The buyer paid the shipping for that. We actually just sold we sold an Ethan Allen piece yesterday that is being U-Shipped as well. So we are starting to do some more freight again, and I would say I don't do bigger pieces of art unless they're worth several $100s minimum, because it is a pain in the butt. I agree with Rod about the pool noodles. I also have cardboard corners to protect the corners that I put on before the pool noodles. And I buy Amazon TV boxes. They're TV moving boxes. U-Haul also has them. And I do like I do with everything else I ship that's fragile and bubble wrap the crap out of it. I do put, if it has glass, I put a piece of cardboard over the glass. I cut it to size before wrapping it in bubble wrap. So I would say I recommend selling it if it's worth it. Now, like 11 by 14s, 8 by 10s, the smaller stuff is super easy, really, really easy. So that's kind of a no-brainer as long as you're making a decent profit. But when you get into 16 by 20 or bigger, you better have some value there. You're going to be kicking yourself after it sells. And I would think of like glass too. Like your glass things are going to be a lot harder than a painting without glass on top of it. You know, like Katey, like framed embroidery without glass, I wouldn't worry that much because there's not much there to break. So take a look at all of those different variables that you have going on. But I've done very, very well with vintage framed artwork. And like I said, I think I have like 30 that I'm going to get listed here soon that are all bigger than 16 by 20. But I bought the whole closet of artwork for $10. So I'm less than $1 into each. So
Can't beat that.
And it's funny because they showed like a picture straight ahead of the closet, and it was actually one of the closets that like went long ways. So it was like 3 or 4 times the amount that I thought I was getting.
Oops.
For the same price. It was crazy. Yeah, bonus stuff. Bonus. Rosie also wants to know, she said she's in her first year of full reselling. What tips and best practices can you share to help ensure that all expenses are accounted? In particular, common expenses that resellers may overlook.
Yeah, so I do use like a really cheap form of QuickBooks to take pictures of my receipts and different things like that. Because I run a free book pickup service and a lot of my inventory comes from that, while I don't have cost of goods, I have mileage, wear and tear on my car. Pretty much I document anything and everything that I'm doing that I typically would not do. So if I'm going to an estate sale, that's gas that I typically would not have purchased before, doing this. Like I have to think about like each single thing I'm doing as like a job related expense. So I just document all the different things I did. And then I figure out what I can expense and what I can't. Especially with YouTube, like a lot of different traveling and different things that I do, a lot of that can be written off as well with, YouTube related things. Different equipment can be depreciated over time, over multiple years. So when you're purchasing large, if you buy a brand new HP computer or, hundreds of dollars in equipment for whatever you're doing for whatever reason, just kind of get an understanding of different equipment and what can be amortized over multiple years and what can't. And sometimes it's better to just take a big one-time expense. I mean, every accountant is going to give you different advice based on your needs and your business. So I would just recommend like just thinking about every little thing that you're doing, purchasing, buying, and just kind of write things down for maybe 30 days and look at that and say, okay, this is stuff that I need to keep receipts for. This is stuff I don't need to keep receipts for, and just kind of go from there. And even things like square footage of your home that you use for your business and your internet and your phone bill and just things that maybe you would not spend as much on, or wouldn't buy at all, or wouldn't space you wouldn't use at all if it wasn't for your business. So just things that's how it's always been explained to me by all the accountants I've ever consulted with and talked with. They've always said, just document things that you normally would not have done if it wouldn't be for your business. So obviously different checking accounts, different savings accounts, you need to have different debit cards. If you want to have a credit card, have it totally separate and be only for business stuff. Your basic financial things. But when it comes to like expenses and write-offs and things like that, that's what I would document. And then I just do, I just take receipts of an ATM withdrawal, or document, how much I paid at a garage sale. I don't do like the whole exact per item when it's sold. I have a receipt to match that particular item. I don't do it that way. I just do cash in, cash out for the month. So again, that may not work for you. You may have to do a totally different method, but it just kind of comes down to your business model, different things that you do associated with your business. So long-winded answer, but that's what I got.
Great. Very interesting, Katey. Like the cash-based accounting, I have been thinking about it and studying that. I'm still itemized on everything. So I'm using Excel to track everything that I do. As soon as I get home from going out sourcing, I'm going to document everything and assign it a price potentially based on, right? We all bundle everything. So a lot of times you don't know how much a single item costs. So I'll assign a price to it at that point so that I know how much it'll be to depreciate over time. But I'm using Excel, honestly. And probably my best piece of advice for everybody is don't wait to document it. Document it immediately, because if you wait that 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, you're going to be like, what? Wait, what did I buy? I don't even know anymore. And yeah, you can go back and check your Amazon receipts potentially, or even some of your credit card receipts, but that's a pain. You're going to spend more time doing it that way instead of just like, I go Amazon, I order tape, something like that. I go immediately to Excel and put in, I spent $25 on tape, done. And I just have a separate tab in my Excel sheet for all of the different expenses that I have in a calendar year. And then that's what I give to the accountant in the next year for taxes. So just trying to just keep on top of that over time instead of trying to let it pile up and catch up in the future.
So there's a famous saying is, don't step over $100 bills to pick up pennies. And what I mean by that is, if I'm going to buy a house, I'm going to get a real estate agent to show me the ins and outs. If I'm going to go buy a car, I'm going to go to a car salesman who's going to give me the ins and outs, what's going to be best for me. Especially if you're starting out, talk to an accountant, pay the $150 or set up a consultation with them so they can tell you what to save and what not to save, let you know what you can write off, what you can't write off based on your situation in your business, because everyone's business is going to be different based on what they're doing. So many people try to do their taxes themselves and miss out on a lot of things because they don't know that they could have wrote off XYZ or wrote off something else. So the reason why is, yes, you do save that $150 or $200 meeting the accountant, but that accountant could have saved you thousands of dollars. And I am a firm believer of that because I did that myself. I did my taxes, my personal taxes for years, and I had a buddy who worked in the financial industry, and he's like, he goes, I will pay you money if you do not get more money back in your taxes. So I took his advice, and I did my taxes. I was going to get back like $3,100. I got an accountant, did my taxes. I got back $5,600, that year. So from there on, I always said, okay, I will go meet with an expert to find out. So this is your business. And if you want to scale your business, you need to start from the very beginning. Patrick made a good point. Don't start late to start doing this stuff. A lot of us will take the receipts, throw them in a drawer or go through that. The best thing I do, and I was guilty of that myself. I am the worst bookkeeper. That's like my weakest part for my business. So I had to set an alarm on my phone to go on my calendar that you can repeat for the entire year on an iPhone. And it goes off every Monday that I have to. That's part of my Monday thing. I go through my entire week and input all my stuff in my QuickBooks and put all that stuff in there. So that way I'm doing it in micro chunks instead of waiting to the end of the year and want to rip my freaking hair out because I'm sitting there trying to go through entire year receipts and figure out what I bought off Amazon and go through all that. It's the worst. Also too, when a lot of us do work in a cash business, so flea markets, thrift stores, private picks, go buy a receipt book. You can buy it off Amazon, you can buy it at CVS, Walgreens, Walmart. Keep it in your console. You can get a small one like this, keep it in your console. So anytime you go out and you make a pickup, You can literally just write in your receipt book, I bought a lot of video games for $150. Then you have that, put the date on it, you put the address, then you're covered. You had that for your accountant purposes. So, I mean, that's the biggest thing I says. Just know what you can and cannot write off, meet with an accountant. Even if you don't use an accountant, but at least, set up that consultation because you want to incorporate your business. Make sure you're getting the right, incorporating your business. Meeting with an accountant will help you set up your business as well. If you need to be an LLC, you want to be an S Corp, depending on what you want to be. So those are real things that we all need to take a look at when you are looking at your business, especially starting out in the very beginning.
I have an accountant do all of the stuff they said. I do not do any of it myself. So I have an accountant that does full-time bookkeeping for me. And I think, so the thing with the mileage, I have Mile IQ as well, but now we have a truck that is only for the business. And if you have a vehicle that's only for the business, we are actually choosing to do gas and expenses versus mileage because it's a truck and it needs tires and it takes a lot of gas. So we are not writing mileage off anymore on the truck, but we are writing mileage off on my car. So if you have one that's only for business, you can do one thing, and for the other, one of the definitely, like Pingy saying, definitely set up a separate checking account. That should be step one before you even start doing anything. All of the apps that you use, Photo Room, List Perfectly. If you subscribe to my channel, it is a write-off. That is helping your business.
Right. Wink, wink.
She just sprinkles that in there.
I was doing tons of super chats when my channel was growing. That was all for my YouTube business. That was all deductible. All the super chats I was sending, I was essentially promoting my business, right?
Advertisement.
I do that on Whatnot right now. I go into everyone's
all the reseller conventions. Like we're going to Boss and Vegas in just 3 weeks now, which is kind of crazy. That all of that expense is a tax write-off. So if you go driving and go sourcing and are crazy like me, then that is also a write-off. So Katey said it best. With if you wouldn't do it without your business, then you probably should think about, and it most likely is.
That's a good question.
Do you guys want to answer? If you have an accountant, how did you find them?
So real quick, I have talked with multiple accountants over the past 4 years. For me, I've been a little picky. It was hard to find someone that I felt like really understood what I did, because I'm in a small rural area, and a lot of people are like, you're doing what? Like they're used to the brick and mortar style mom and pop small businesses. They were not really understand, especially like being a content creator. So I finally did find someone that understands. I know there's not your dad's CPA and all of that, but I really want to have like a one-on-one with somebody. I want to have someone that I can talk to direct. And I did try Mark, but I didn't really have that experience. It was like I uploaded a bunch of stuff, someone did something, and then they gave it back to me. I want to have someone that I can talk to throughout the year. I just want a relationship. So I was able to find someone, but it took a lot of shopping and browsing and talking to a lot of different people, especially because they needed to understand what type of business I was and what I was doing. So it ended up being like someone my own age. They're in their early 30s, and they kind of get that, and they're a little bit more knowledgeable of like newer business types and what I qualify under the NAICS codes and all that stuff. So and I'm not throwing shade at any certain age group or anything, but it just worked out that it was someone that kind of understood the newer ways of making money online. So it took me a while, but I did find someone. Google was really, really helpful. And I just found someone in my local area.
Mine was a little bit more kind of personal and a little bit more comedy, I would say, where I was getting divorced at the time and needed to pay alimony to my ex. And my neighbor, who I'd been friends with for a long time, had always told me that his accountant was the best. And he said the accountant had given him the advice of, well, don't worry about that, about why you can't deduct something. Worry about why you can and let me take care of it. And I was always like, oh, I like that way of thinking of like, why can't I deduct something? But letting him worry about it. So I just throw everything to him. And like we all had kind of talked about, it was after the first time I learned, okay, here's the things that I'm not going to worry about anymore, and then I'll focus on these items over here. But I just thought that was a really funny answer of why he should use that account, and he's been on my account ever since.
So I think Katey made a really good point. Is you should definitely interview your accountant. Don't go to like H&R Block or one of these corporate chains, then just have someone that's just going to hand your paperwork over there and do that. You want to find I always say the recommended best is like a mom and pop or someone who works for themselves. The reason for that is they're going to take the time of day to sit down with you, talk to you about your business. Because as much as they're going to interview you about your business, you would also want to interview them too. You want an accountant that's not going to be black and white. Someone's going to work in the gray area. And when I say that, disclaimer here is, I say that as they're going to work in the gray area to your favor. Like, how can you write all this stuff off? What can we do? Okay, how do I have to purchase this so this can be a write-off for me? I just did a trip to Barcelona, Spain for my honeymoon. Part of that can be written off because I actually filmed over there for my YouTube channel. I get paid on YouTube, and I'm going to use clips in my videos. So that's going to be part of a write-off, part of my trip, was because we were able to do stuff like that over there. So these are things that you have to have a good accountant. So I would say reach out to people that may own their own business. First and foremost, that'd be a good place to start. And then you want to, when you do talk to them, let them know what you do, let them know if they're familiar with that. Ask them if they do any other retail shops, or they work with other retail businesses. Do they work with any online vendors? Stuff like that, because if they do, they may already have experience, Ask them the different types of account. Can you do straight inventory, or you can do the cash in, cash out? Cash in, cash out is probably going to be the best situation for majority of people because it's very simplistic, very simple. So that would be the first place that I would start. You can do free consultations with a ton of accountants. Don't call them up in April. From January and April. This is the time right now. 100% honest with you, because the extension ends. I think October 15th or September 15th, whatever the extension time ends is this time period. October, November, December is when you want to start looking for an accountant now, because people that will be taking on new clients come January, they're not taking on any new clients because they're preparing for the new tax season. So start looking for the accountant now.
Yeah, I wanted to put this up here because honestly, this is what I did. Accidental Time Traveler Maggie said I found someone who was learning with me. And I'll tell you that the majority of you that are watching us are not going to have the same situations we have, because we have YouTube channels as well as reselling businesses. And that is kind of a whole different bag of chips, so to speak. It is really, really different. So I've had my accountant for 3 years, and we had some rough patches. If you have watched me a long time, I wanted to strangle him. But I'm in a small town, and there are not many reselling YouTubers, if you think about it, in the grand scheme of things. You're probably not, at least if you're a YouTuber, you're not going to find an accountant that does know that. So for us, I've got income coming from 4 different platforms. Yeah, 4 different platforms. I've got affiliate income, I've got YouTube income, and I have expenses that go along with all of that. So my situation is extremely complicated, and I pay a lot. That's why I pay monthly. I don't want to have to do the monthly accounting and keeping up with it. I don't have time. I would rather pay somebody and have him deal with it. It was less in the beginning, but once he knew now, I would feel like he would probably feel extremely capable if another reselling YouTuber came to him and said, I need an accountant. And I would say e-commerce, at least when you're selling on eBay, you need somebody that's gonna know. My accountant actually signs into all of the platforms for me. He pulls all the reports. I don't send him anything. He has access to everything and does everything for me. So you need to find someone that's gonna work how you want him to work, whether it's like Patrick said, he keeps track in Excel and then you're sending it to him. Or if you want to, mine has total control. And I know a lot of people are scared of that. He signs into my bank account. He signs into my credit cards. He signs into everything. And a lot of people would probably be scared, but I've had him for 3 years. I trust him. And like he told me when we needed to change from LLC over to S Corp, if you don't know, typically that's when you're making about 40,000 in profit or more a year is when they will suggest that you change from LLC over to S Corp. And we also have payroll. I have 7 people on the payroll now. It is very scary. I'm not going to lie. So yeah, you have to take your situation. I wanted to give Rosie a dolphin, and then we have another one. So Miss Rosie, you're very, very welcome. Here is your dolphin. I'm trying to decide. I can't decide. Okay. Here. Super cute. And then Chris, my friend, you have to be a little sneakier.
I mean, it worked, didn't it?
I mean, he got up here. Chris was on the panel with us last week. I don't even remember. I would try and be all smooth, like, oh, I just did a video about this last week. Whatever they're talking about. You know, like, I can't even remember. I probably wasn't slick, but I tried. So, Chris, thank you. I appreciate it. Here is your, where is the, oh, there it is. It was at the top. Here's your dolphin.
There's no way you can't jam to that a little bit.
I know you have to. Oh, I forgot. Who sent me? Oh, it was Rachel. Rachel sent me a super chat and I forgot to upload it. Now you'll have to keep reminding me, Rachel. Rachel sent me a new one. Miss Caroline wants to know, what label printers do you use? I just have my iPhone, so I think the I can't even say it. The Rollo thermal wireless is the one I have to use. I will say that is not true, but we can say what we have.
Well, now I have to say that's not true. No, if you have your iPhone, you just need something that is Bluetooth compatible and is thermal, so you don't have to buy ink. And that's pretty much it. Your only expense with that should be your iPhone service, your wireless service, and your carrier, and whatever labels that you choose to purchase. So, and
what do you use?
I have a wireless Rollo.
No, I'm not saying,
but it was a gift.
I've never tried Rollo. I'm not anti-Rollo.
However, in the house, I have 2 other thermal printers. Both of them are Bluetooth compatible. So all I will say with that is just make sure that your iPhone is pretty updated, recent, or your Android or whatever phone you have. Or yeah, they have an iPhone. So just make sure it's recent and updated, because the Bluetooth has to connect and you have to be at like a certain, like it can't, I don't think it would work on like an iPhone 6 or something like that. So that's just the only thing to also keep in mind, is make sure your iPhone's newer and up to date, so it can kind of be compatible with the newer devices. But as long as it's wireless, you should be fine if all you have is an iPhone. The wired ones are fine, but I believe you have to at least have like a laptop or something that you could connect.
Yeah, and Chromebooks do not work with that, I will tell you, because I did try that. You do have to have an actual laptop or a computer.
So mine is probably past vintage right by now, because I do have a wired printer, and it's even something that the brand doesn't even exist anymore. It's an Eltron, which then was bought out by Zebra. And I bought it on eBay, you guys. Like, I bought it just because I had heard all these great things about it, and I love it. And of course, would I love to get one of those newer ones? Sure. But I haven't had a need for it yet, right? So I'd be like answering a question I don't have a question for if I bought it, just because it'd be cool to have it. So until I actually need to upgrade to something else, I'm going with my old school Eltron knee Zebra.
Yeah.
So mine, I actually use a wired one, because every time we talk about this, I forget, what is the name brand, the one that we have? Off Nova, yeah. Off Nova doesn't work directly from your iPhone. I'm sure I can buy a Bluetooth adapter, which everyone keeps telling me in the chat to do. And I've been putting off for months, so I need to go do that. You'll probably hear me say that about 5 more times before I actually do it. But that's the one I use. It was only like $80 when I bought it, and it works great. I have an adapter from my MacBook, and I just hook it up right up to it, and I just print from that. I don't need a wireless one at my house because I just have a portable laptop. So I can just bring in the different areas and work off that.
Yeah, so I have the Off Nova that's wireless, but I do all of my label printing from the computer. I couldn't imagine doing 50 labels off of a phone and having to like update the weights. Like I think it's easier on the computer. And on Whatnot, we do like 90 packages. So same thing. We update the weights on a laptop and then we print out on the computer. I have an old Dymo. The Dymo I've had for 3 years. I got the Off Nova as a backup. So it does have wireless capabilities, but I've never even tried to use it. I can't imagine trying to run a business off just a phone. I won't lie. I guess I'm old school like that. I need like the bigger screen. You can only put sales on from the computer. There are a lot of things you can only do on the computer. You might be able to from your browser. Somebody might correct me there, but I can't see very well. I need a computer. Cassandra said, love this show. We are learning so much. Thank you. You're very welcome. I'm going to give you Yvonne's Mermaids and Merman. Whoever sends the next super chat is getting Rod. I don't know if that's like incentive or deterrent. I don't know.
Deterrent.
It might be incentive. Somebody last week told you to stop being cute because you're married. I don't know if you saw that in the chat. I did.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Some call it a gift, some call it a curse. What can I say, right?
Let's see. Accidental Time Traveler Maggie just made my first eBay sale. Congrats. Only took 30 hours to do. That's pretty fast. That's pretty impressive. Really good. Yeah. Now to ship. I thought shipping costs were taken from my earrings, but they are holding my earrings and I paid shipping. I'm going to tell you, when you're a new seller, they will hold the funds. You can choose to take it from your held funds, though, your eBay funds, but they are going to hold it until they make sure you're not a scammer and you're not like sending empty boxes. So that will probably continue for a little while, but soon as they get it and it is delivered, the money will be released. And I think, because I helped somebody set up a new eBay account recently, it actually told her on the phone like when the funds would be released. So you should see a date of like when funds will be released.
Yeah, especially being a new seller, I think the item has to be shipped and arrived before they're going to release the funds.
Yeah,
like 2 or 3 days.
And she's saying it wasn't free shipping, but they took it out of her account. That's because the money came into your account from the buyer. So the buyer paid you the $5 or $4 for shipping, and then you pay it back for the shipping. So that's what's going on. Same thing with taxes. You get that money in, and eBay takes it right back. What were you going to say, Rod?
I was going to say, depending how she has her account set up, so she has it set up where it's taking the money directly out of her funds, or she can actually put a different source funding for her shipping on there. So she might want to double check and look at that, because she could be, if it's taking, if she means like out of her personal account, she maybe have set up where it goes a credit card or a debit card, but deducted.
Yeah, versus from eBay funds. There's a choice at the bottom of what the shipping comes out of. I always choose my eBay funds.
They sometimes will revert to whatever card you have on file for fees if your balance doesn't cover your fees at the end of the month. And sometimes they'll automatically just charge that card. And that's very typical with first starting out. They're going to default to using a card on file before using your funds.
Yeah.
All right. We have a soapbox question. I will try not to get too loud. I know I get loud when it's soapbox question. Joanne wants to know, is it possible to be successful at reselling without a YouTube channel or social media presence? How can we raise our visibility and make sales without sacrificing privacy or anonymity?
So I actually just did a video on this. It's the top question I get asked about Whatnot. And do you have to have a huge following? Me personally, I don't feel that I had a very, very large following when I first started on Whatnot. You know, I'm a small YouTube channel. I'm a small reseller. I'm at 1.4 K followers on Whatnot now. I've been on there for a year. I've sold over 1,000 items. I have a book community. A lot of people on Whatnot don't follow me on YouTube because they're not resellers. They're not interested in learning how to sell books. They want to buy books from me. And Whatnot, I've been able to build like this client relationship almost, because I'm talking to these people every single week when I'm doing a show. And now I'm like outsourcing for them. And that's an opportunity I could have never really had with eBay. Now, I'm not going to say that having a YouTube and a social media presence doesn't help. It helps people that want to support me. Some people are going to buy stuff from you just because it's you. And that's fine. That's life. I mean, I do that. You know, there's people that I like and I will buy from them because it's them. You know, there's a local bakery here. She's my friend. Is it the best food in the entire world? Maybe not. But for me, I like it and it's her, so I'm going to support her. So that's just kind of how that is. That's how I see it with social media and YouTube. If they support me, it's because it's me and they want to support me. So I would say do what you need to do, whatever that means. So if you really are uncomfortable with social media and don't want to get into it, that's fine. But you're going to have to work extra hard in different ways to bring traffic to your Whatnot, or to bring traffic to your eBay, or to bring traffic to your Pango Books or Macari or whatever it is that you are wanting to get into. A lot of the platforms bring the traffic to you, and that's great. But newer platforms like Whatnot that are still growing, they don't bring the traffic to you as much, at least in my opinion, not yet. I'm not 100% sold on Whatnot's SEO. I love Whatnot. I'm not leaving it, but they have like more growing to do. It's nothing like eBay. So in the marketplace, especially. So just understand that there is some sacrifices to that. Now, with that said, you could totally have, you know, an eBay, a YouTube, like you don't have to show your face. If you don't want to show your face, you don't have to. You can use pseudonyms. You can, you know, do all the things. You can have a PO box. Like there's plenty of ways to have privacy if that's a concern for you. I run a free book pickup service. I have a Google Voice number for that. I don't give out my personal phone number. I was very scared to put my face on YouTube when I was working my 9-to-5 job because I didn't know if it was going to get me in trouble talking about all the things that I was doing. And, you know, low key sometimes on work time, they just didn't know it. So I was like nervous about doing certain things like that. But, you know, my experience was fine. So I guess I would just want to know more about what privacy and anonymity you are talking about. Like, do you absolutely not want your face shown? Like, you have a profile picture, so obviously you're comfortable showing, you know, some things. So, you know, I guess I would just want to know a little bit more about that. But I personally don't think you need to have a really big following. I'm a smaller seller, and I've had really great success with Whatnot. My YouTube has been great for the past 4 years. So, you know, I don't have any complaints there. So I guess that's my soapbox. That's my long-winded.
So let's see. I've been doing YouTube for 3 years now. So I was doing reselling without that for 7 years before that. And I felt like I was very successful. But I think I can maybe flip it the other way. Instead of selling, is giving me more success in buying. Because now people are reaching out to me saying, hey, you're a local presence here in Connecticut. Would you be interested in buying this collection?
Very
and that
true.
actually then transferred over to sales, right? Where I've now got those more interesting inventory items to be able to sell more stuff, which I honestly wasn't expecting that at all when I started the YouTube channel. I just thought it would be fun to do. But raising visibility, that actually is a tough one. I'm mostly on eBay, not on a lot of other platforms, but what I have found is when I cross post, right, move items between different platforms, then my sales definitely go up. So that's where I'd like to focus on as I'm growing my business now, is I want to continue to do more cross posting, open myself up to more platforms. That's 100% going to increase your visibility. You're definitely going to generate more sales. Let's see what else. I have heard a lot of people doing, again, flipping it back on buying, but putting out ads on Craigslist or local paper saying, I'm looking for books, like what Katey could do, or personally like electronics, video games, whatever it is I'm looking for this week, and getting stuff in that way. And then you're getting those more interesting collections coming in that then you can generate more sales. Mm-hmm. So that's how I would think about it when I'm trying to do this type of thing.
So I would say this: the most successful resellers out there, you have no idea who they are. The reason for that here is they are focusing all their time 100% on reselling, not building a social media following, not building a network around them, not building a community around them. Now, they are building a network on a different aspect, but I just got back from FlipCon. Okay, when I was at FlipCon, they had a Whatnot representative there. He did stuff in the jewelry category, and he also did stuff in some of the storage unit category. He said that of his top 30 sellers on his category and Whatnot, 20 of the top 30 do not have a YouTube or social media presence.
Mhm.
And they are building their market, and they're building it up on Whatnot by themselves. So the answer to your question, is it? Yes, 100%. But you have to think outside the box. A buddy of mine, he goes by Finders Keepers Resale on Instagram. He has no YouTube channel. Doesn't post up anything personal. He bought out a storage unit that had 4,000 plus VHS in there. Okay, it used to be an old VHS store. It was all in storage for years. What he did was he literally just took all the items. He listed up 100, 200 items and Whatnot, and he started doing Whatnot shows. But what he did was he went on Instagram and he did paid advertisements and just took pictures of the items. This, so he wasn't basing his off anything, his following on there. He was advertising it just like you would if you had a brick and mortar. He was advertising to his general demographic. He was thinking outside the box. Okay, he has no social media following except for Instagram there. And now he just hit 1,000 sales, get instant payout on there, and he's doing really well, and he still has a plan. And so, yes, you have to plan ahead. You have to do stuff that, that's going to go. You have to build momentum on there and carry that momentum to your next shows and everything going forward. But yes, 100%. And I make money on YouTube, and I make money on my social media. But at the same point in time is, and I say this when I say this, I'll put an asterisk next to it. I lose money because of my YouTube and because of my social media. It's not because I'm not making tens of thousands of dollars on there. Okay, I'm making a little chunk of money on there. But the amount of time, like for example, I put out a video today that just dropped it today. That video probably took me maybe an hour and a half to edit. I had to create a thumbnail. I had to do that. So let's say I put 2-3 hours into that video. Okay, that's 2 or 3 hours. You know how many items? Just think about how many items could you list in 2 or 3 hours. Now, if I'm doing that twice a week, if I'm doing that 10 times a month now, that's 30 hours a month that I could use to be focused on my reselling business. That's taken away from YouTube. Now, granted, yes, I get a lot of benefits from YouTube. Like you said, about people reach out to me to make buys and stuff like that. But I don't get a lot of sales off YouTube. I just pulled up my eBay partner program just to kind of give you guys an understanding. So that means if you guys go click on my link, I get a small percentage of people getting direct.
Like $10 for the month.
But over the past 5 months, there's only been $808 in sales. Now, when I say that, that's not just for my store. So if you go to my store and you look at it, and if you go to my store and look at my stuff and don't buy anything, go buy some from someone else's store. Okay, that's sales just so over the last 5 months. That means only 800. That's $150 a month. That's not a lot of money coming in. You can't survive off that. You know what I mean? But so people think that we make tons of money just because off that. We don't usually. But we are able to leverage that social media. So go back to your thing is think of it differently. Think if you had a brick and mortar, what would you do for brick and mortar? How would you advertise your business? What would you do differently?
Really
not being on social media. So use that mindset instead, because you can actually absolutely be 100% profitable and 100% successful without a social media presence.
Hold on, I'm clicking this year.
See, now I got in the soapbox today, all right? Thanks, Kat.
I'm going to get on it, kind of on the wavelength Rod was, and tell you that the resellers that are making the most money are not on YouTube. They are not, because they are not spending time on YouTube. So I could make more money if I was not on YouTube. Yep. Hands down. Guarantee you. 100%. So I think you see us, so you think you need to do it, but I'm telling you, you will make more money than us by not doing it. And I agree. We do get opportunities to buy. I don't get a ton. I actually just got one from eBay. They had no clue who the heck I was. They didn't know I was on YouTube. I would have gotten that opportunity regardless. I wouldn't have got it without the boxes I got from Rod. So, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it really was from it. But I don't think you need to raise visibility. I think if you, no matter what platform you're on, if you have good merchandise that is in demand, the platforms are going to bring it to you. And that's Whatnot too. I've seen people first show that have amazing name stuff on Whatnot. They catalog it and they hit it out of the park with 8 people in the show, but they make thousands of dollars. If you catalog it and you have the right stuff, nobody needs to know who you are, nothing. Yep. So I say you don't need it. I say if you want to do it, do it. I would never suggest doing it to try and make more eBay sales because you will lose money and you will be sorely, sorely disappointed. My eBay has suffered so much because of YouTube and Whatnot.
And Kat, I think it's fair that we should give a disclaimer on this too. When it comes to this, everyone on this panel, the reason why we do YouTube, because it gives us a break from our reselling business. We also do it because we love and enjoy it too, because that's a big thing. Like a lot of us are doing is we love to teach, we love to help, we love to enjoy. Yeah. So it's not work for us, even though that we're losing money. At the end of the day, we do make money off it. We do have our own personal reasons why we do that. So I don't want to discourage anyone and say, oh, they're talking BS about this, because it's not the case. We do make money.
We're making money. Yeah, I make very decent money on YouTube. But people need to understand is that we have a passion for it. The reason why we do that. That's why we choose to go that route, and that's a choice we make for our business. That's best fitting for us. And it will change. It will change, guys. Like I needed a break. Like YouTube can be super stressful. I was talking with someone, I'm not going to say who they are, that felt the same way I do. It's very hard when you get a ton of views and then it tanks. It is very hard emotionally, mentally, even physically to be here. And yes, everybody still loves you, but it is a worse roller coaster than eBay is. I will tell you that. And it can affect your mental state. It can be very rough. So I would say you have to be very, very thick-skinned to be on YouTube, or you will become thick-skinned, I guarantee you, if you stay at it long enough. And yeah, so it's definitely a soapbox for me. If you want to do YouTube because you want to share, by all means do it, but do not let wanting more sales be the driving factor at all.
It won't happen. Yeah, it will happen maybe years down the line, but it's not going to happen immediately.
Right. Like I have 1,000 videos. I've been doing this for 4 years. Do you know how many hours that it's a lot? It's a lot of time. So like we are getting benefits from it for sure. But it has taken 200 weeks of 40-hour weeks, a lot of it unpaid to get to where
you have to have a real passion and a different desire behind wanting to put yourself out there on YouTube and talk about what you're doing. And I think Rod hit it. For me, it was just really, really about education and showing that Amazon FBA isn't the only way to sell books. That's what was really, really passionate for me. And that's why I do what I do.
Yes. And I love teaching, and people that can't leave home and want to sell, people are on disability. They might have anxiety and don't want to go out. Like I like showing you can source without leaving your house. I don't like leaving my house. So I'm a little bit different in that way, but I just love teaching everybody and seeing people get results and make more income because of what I'm putting out there. That's the big thing for me.
Let me ask you a question. So we both started in the 90s. Okay. I started 99, you're 99. How hard was it in the very beginning? It was a Wild West for us. We had no YouTube. There was nothing there there was no books to read.
You had to wait for money orders and cash to get mailed to your mailbox.
How many mistakes did you make back then, or stupid decisions you made because you didn't know any better? You know what I mean? Like just little things back in your business.
You don't see. I did a lot of plants, and like I loved it back then. I could pay $10 and my listing would be at the top of the whole category for the month for $10, guys, $10. I would be at the top of the category.
That was amazing.
So back then, that's part of the reason why, me and Kat are really passionate about what we do now, because, when you guys are starting out now, there's so many more resources for you guys. We have this show. You guys can come here every Tuesday night. We didn't have that. Okay. We literally had to stumble along the way to figure it out ourselves. Do you know how many times I went to the post office? I didn't have a label printer and I had to handwrite every single thing on there until I bought a printer and started going that route. Like, it was just insane, just the things we had to go through. So, we do this because we want to help you guys and we have a passion for it. Like the first time anytime someone's asked me, can you help me? I want to start YouTube. And I ask you, why do you want to do it? And if you tell me it's to make more money, get more sales, you're in the wrong business. Plain and simple. If you have that the right mindset, you want to do this because you want to document it. You're in it for the long haul. This is the marathon, not a sprint. Like these are things that you have to know right in the very beginning, because you will set up to fail. Because like Kat said, your videos will fail. You will be disappointed. You'll be upset.
People know if you're genuine. People know if you're trying to help them.
That too. Yeah.
They know.
They know. People can tell.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Can tell. We have 5 million super chats. Not really, but I think there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 super chats. I'm going to give you
everybody
all
gets a dolphin.
Everybody
gets a dolphin. You get a dolphin. You get a dolphin.
We are now Oprah, the Oprah of reselling. Anani sent 5. I'm going to read all of them and give you a rod and a dolphin. We'll do a rod and a dolphin. Anani said, thanks to Kat and all her guests. I will have my first Whatnot Live this Thursday. I'm a bit nervous, but my video helped. I'm glad to hear that. Katey has been putting out Whatnot. Rachel Strickland has Whatnot. Just go with the flow, guys. If you've been watching me on Whatnot, I have lost my mind. I don't know what the hell I'm doing there, but not knowing what I'm doing it's working. It's working.
It's also too, since this is her first Whatnot, put your name in the chat and everyone give her a follow, because we are better as a community and supporting each other than we are individually.
Yeah.
Oh, I skipped Mark. Sorry, Mark.
Mark's very skippable, so he's okay.
He sent a $5 super chat. Miss Vicky said, Kat, can I sell padded envelopes to someone? I don't want to ship them. I have 400. You can sell them as long as they're not priority postal ones.
Yeah.
And you can sell them just on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or something like that. Yeah, by all means. I wouldn't expect to get what you paid for them, though, because somebody's going to want a deal if they have to drive and pick them up.
Yeah.
All right. Kathleen sent us a $9.99 super sticker. Thank you very, very much. They like our soapbox. See, look, thank you, Rod and Kat. It was what I needed to hear. Thank you. Guys, you do not need to be on social media. If you want to be, by all means be, but do not feel obligated to do it.
And we will answer any questions you guys have on it, but we'll just tell you honest and how it is.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
On Mercari, Miss Lisa says, sure post for shipping is 5 to 14 days. Do you know if people can pick their own shipping when buying an item on Mercari? They cannot. So whatever you pick is what they get. On Mercari, they don't have a choice. Like on eBay, they can pick different ones. On Mercari, they cannot. It is whatever you pick.
The only option would be is local.
I've had people message and ask me to switch it before.
Yeah, they can they can choose between local pickup and whoever one you choose, but that's
only if you're signed up for the local thing. All right, here's a rod and a dolphin for all of you. All of you. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for listening to our soapboxes. I think all of us were on them a little bit. Here is Rod first, and then we'll do it all.
Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Until next time.
All right, dolphin time. Eeny, meeny, dolphin.
I like how you're just a creeper in the window up top, just looking down.
I know.
Gino made me the creeper. Okay, that is all Gino's fault. Gino made me the creeper.
Good job, Gino.
All right. Let's see if we can get off a soapbox for a minute, maybe.
Yeah.
Besides endless sharing on Posh, do you delist and relist on there? And if so, how often? So if you are a Poshmark seller, this is what
I am not a Poshmark seller, so pass.
Not a Poshmark seller.
I do sell in Poshmark, but I do not delist and relist my items. I just share it. So
okay, I will put it in the chat. I have a link for you. I do not do any of that, but I have a program that does it for me. And it has increased my Poshmark sales significantly. and it shares continually. It sends offers, which are where most of my sales come from. I have it set up to send 20% off. And it delists and relists stale listings every 60 days automatically. So it is, I'll get it after I read the next question. I'm going to get sidetracked. I'm very squirrel most of the time, if you guys haven't noticed. All right. Any tips for first Whatnot show?
Make sure that everything is loaded a couple days before the show, so that way people can browse. And I can't even tell you how many times that I've had pre-bids win the sale and they weren't even in the chat. They just threw their max price that they were willing to pay for something, and it happened to work out in their favor when I was live, and I made a sale. I love pre-bids. It is one of my favorite things about Whatnot, because it also helps me get an idea of what people are willing to purchase, in essence, without even seeing it live yet. So that's really good for me to know. Have a strong amount in buy it now. I would say like 10 plus items, because some people may not be interested or want to sit around for the auction, but they still want to support you or buy something. So buy now is really, really nice. And I would utilize show notes. That's a new feature now on Whatnot. I don't think everybody looks or reads the show notes, but I would utilize it if you are accepting tips and maybe all your tips are going towards a fundraiser, or if you're doing something fun and different with this first show, you can throw it in the show notes just to let people know what you have going on. You have to be entertaining. It's like everything else. People can enter your show and leave your show very quickly. They can keep scrolling and look at other shows. So be entertaining, but be authentic at the same time. I know sometimes that can kind of be difficult, but and don't think you have to show your face. A lot of people feel like they have to show their face. I don't show my face. I don't think Kat has ever shown her face. We're just showing products. So
I've done it on accident.
Kat's always talking. Kat's talking. She's being engaging. She's being funny. She's chatting. You're talking while it's live, like, 10 seconds left. So-and-so's in the lead. Is anyone going to bid against them? And, just fun. Just keep it engaging. I really recommend not just having music playing in the background and running things and not saying a single word. I've been in auctions like that, and it's extremely awkward. So I really encourage you to just engage, because then you're also talking to the people that you want to be building a relationship with. These buyers are people that you want to have coming in every week or every day or whenever you're doing your show. And I also ask the chat, what are you guys looking for today? If you don't see anything in the auction, what are you guys looking for? What are you guys interested in? And surprisingly, there's been tons of times where people are like, I'm actually looking for this author. And while I don't have it in for that auction, I have it sitting right next to me in a pile next to me. And it's like, okay, yeah, well, I have this author. Let me add it in right now. If you're interested, let me show it to you. Okay, you want to buy it? All right, let me add it right now. And you can add it while you're live. So there's just a lot of different things with Whatnot that I really, really like with it being a live platform. So utilize all the different features, understand the different features that are available to you. And depending what category you're doing, they have coupons now. So you can have a coupon feature. You can do, flat rate shipping. Which,
how do I do a coupon?
I'll show you.
Okay.
You can set up coupons now. So they can use that. Anytime someone uses your referral link, they automatically follow you and they'll see your shows exclusively for, I think, the first month that they're on Whatnot. So that's really important. You're going to want to share your links with a lot of people leading up to your show. And that's pretty much it. I have an iPhone, and I apparently have a lot of features that the Android doesn't have. So I won't talk too much about that, but I would just say make sure you have good lighting, have an understanding of where you're going to have your phone, and how you're going to be doing that. So those are my advice. That's my advice.
I'm glad you were so comprehensive, since I don't sell on Whatnot.
There we go.
All right. So the biggest thing I tell people is Whatnot, and I preach this all the time, Whatnot is not a selling platform. Okay, you do not go there just to buy and sell like you do in eBay or Poshmark. You go there to be entertained. It is a social media platform. So what you see on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube catches your eye. You're going to see those same shows on on Whatnot that have people engaged and have people in there. Like she just said, there's make sure that you are, especially when you're new, schedule your shows in advance. Okay, like if you told me you're going to do your very first Whatnot show, I would tell you to schedule out two weeks in advance, and I was to tell you right now, start loading up everything in there. Have a good thumbnail. You can add video, so make sure you're getting all your items, put a big pile, and just take a quick video of what you're doing in there, because that video can be shared to social media platforms such as Instagram, Facebook, whatever you want to do. There's a share button in there to do that. Certain categories allow you to promote your show. A lot of people don't know this. If you click on those buttons there, certain categories, depending on what you're selling in, you could actually pay to have your show pushed up to the top on Whatnot to be pushed through. And this is the biggest feature I think a lot of new sellers don't know about on Whatnot. You can do a private show, just a trial run. So you can schedule a show, make it private. You can have your boyfriend.
And I think we had a question on how to practice, so Rod's kind of answering that now.
Yeah, this is going to be huge. So schedule a private show and just have your friends or someone else go in there, and then you could practice just like showing the items, practice talking, just kind of get a rundown of what you would do. Same thing when you're in school. You know, you had to have a speech. You literally stood in front of the mirror and you read your speech over and stuff like that. Similar concept with that. But also too is, if you plan on selling on Whatnot more in the future, schedule future shows in advance. So, for example, if I'm running a show today, I'm going to have a show scheduled for next week and the following week. The reason for that here are scheduling a month out in advance. Because when you come to my stream, you like what I'm selling. Hey, you like this? You should see what I'm going to have in 2 weeks from now. Make sure you guys go bookmark that show. I can't tell you, when I first started out, I didn't do that at the very beginning. When the first time I did it, I doubled my bookmarks in my next show, because everything that was in there, all my people bookmarking next show, because I started everything at $2. You know, also to have some good items in there, because you're going to be new. You know, be prepared to possibly lose money on there. Not saying you're always going to, but you know, make sure that you have a little investment in your items, that you can start out low, or you can, if you have good quality items, like for example, like if I go to Walmart and they're running a buy one get one free, Walmart's going to lose money in those two items, but they're going to make their money up for me buying all my other groceries and everything else at that store. So use that same concept. You know, put some good items in there, start them low. It's okay if you lose money, because you're working off the rule of averages. You know, and when you do a first show, I highly recommend that you do about 30 items. I don't recommend doing a lot more than that. Or anything less than that. Just do about 30 items just to get the kinks out of the way, because things do happen, things do go wrong, and then that way you're not really having all this stuff in there. And then I would say, what else is there? And make sure you're engaged with your chat. The biggest thing. Nothing's worse than asking a question and not getting answered, asking a second question, not getting answered, adding the same question 3 times in a Whatnot sale. I get up and leave and go to another sale, because I'm asking a question about a thing I want to buy, and there's 8 people in there and you can't engage in the chat or answer my question. You know, that's very disheartening. So if you're not going to take time to deal with me, how do I know you're going to take time to get a quality product or good service? You know, and that person just may not know. And probably the biggest thing, and this is going to be a public service announcement for anyone that does Whatnot. If you do Whatnot, make sure that you have items already loaded for free giveaways. If you get raided, if someone randomly raids you, you run your free giveaway ASP right away, because everyone has to follow you to enter that drawing. You know, I've been on a stream where I raided someone else raided someone. We had hundreds of people that went in there, and the person did not run a giveaway, and I just watched the people drop 200, 150, 100, and these are all people they could have engaged with, but they sat there talking. So you can run free giveaways, then you can do all your talking. But you know, when you do a giveaway, make sure people have to follow you, because then you build your following off that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So everything I have thought and talked about on Whatnot is going out the window. See you later. Bye. It is time for me to pivot. I have not been making money on Whatnot, a lot of my shows lately, and so I am changing it up. And some people like it. Some people don't. But I'm changing it for a reason. And the reason is it's not working. I'm still doing some of my old style type shows today. I literally opened a box, unwrapped flats of jewelry. I had not been through them, and I sold jewelry from those. No matter, like, whatever it was, I picked it up, I sold it. And I was doing linens too. I had new boxes of linens. Today I only sold 20 pieces of linen, 60 pieces of jewelry. Another day, it could have went the other way. They being my audience, could have wanted more linen.
Mm-hmm.
I would have sold more linen. So I have been doing quite a few more uncatalogued shows, but you have to think, I have an audience. So I do want to make sure I say that. So I have an audience that a lot of them are going to come in regardless of what I'm doing. And then when I have, 20, 30 people on my show, then more people see it because I'm at the popular
Right.
shows for the category. Yeah. But cataloging has not been helping me. It hasn't been helping me lately. And so I'm running a lot uncatalogued. And I think you need to find what works for you on Whatnot. And I think a lot of unboxings, I know Donatella does a lot of them. She's super successful at it. She's not cataloging. Sanford and Son doesn't catalog. She does absolutely amazing. So you need to find what's going to work for you, and what's going to work for you isn't what's going to work for me, isn't what's going to work for Katey, isn't what's going to work for Rod. Try different ways is what I would suggest. I would definitely recommend taking requests if you are a new seller. I am actually taking them, even though I have over 10,000 followers on Whatnot, and I have over, I think, 24,000 items sold, and we are right at a year mark on Whatnot. So 24,000 sold, 10,000 followers, but it's taken a year for my method to now not working very well. So
do you think it's the category? We do mostly jewelry.
Jewelry, I think, is getting very, very super saturated. I think there are a ton of sellers. Teresa's saying it's nice to be surprised on Whatnot. I never look at the catalog. I did an uncatalogued show last night that was scheduled. It was not a pop-up. So I'm doing them both scheduled and as just pop-ups. But I think you have to have a following to do that. I think if you don't have a following, you need to catalog.
Now, Kat,
my pop-up's always
you don't recommend a brand new seller do a pop-up, though, would you?
No. No, you need to schedule. And even if you're not cataloging, like Rod said, I would suggest it. Let's say you're doing like I am. I'm selling jewelry and linens. So I always make sure if I'm doing jewelry, the next jewelry sale is scheduled. If I'm doing gemstone jewelry, the next gemstone jewelry show is scheduled. Because if they're in there and they're liking that, I want them to have that same type of show. So like for Rod, if he's doing plush and Disney pins, I would say if you're doing a plush show, you should have another plush show scheduled. Yep. And then you're like, hey, if you like this plush, I have another show coming. And that way you can always change it to a later date and you keep your bookmarks, guys. So please realize that even if you schedule when you think you're going to do it, you can always reschedule and you keep your bookmarks. So try different things. It might work for a while, but it's like any reselling. I've had to pivot so much, I'm dizzy. Okay, guys. Lately, I just I feel like I'm spinning in circles, but I'm still doing well. I'm figuring it out. It's easy to get frustrated, but I wouldn't say to pivot before you put the time in to build something.
Yeah.
It takes time first.
Yeah. That's a great point. Yes.
And also,
I've been doing it for a year and now it's not working anymore. So now I'm going to change. But if I had done that the first week, I would have been sorely disappointed.
I think another good point too is for people when you're starting out, the category you're going to sell in, make sure you go and watch other people who are in that same category and see how they and write down what you like and what you don't like, what they do. So you know not to make the mistakes, but then because people may be selling things completely different than how you thought in that category. They may be doing choice of items instead of selling it one by one, because that's just what the main way people sell in that category. It just varies.
Yeah, Becky's saying she's worried about selling larger pieces of glass since they changed the shipping. I don't sell larger things on there. But that's because I am a little OCD about selling 100 items a show. That hasn't really changed no matter how I'm doing it. But I do small, easy to ship items because of that. There's no way I would ship 100 breakable items from one show. So I know Chris, Buck Mountain Barn, he left for the evening, but he ran into that problem and he lost a lot of money on shipping for oversized box fees. So definitely be careful if you are doing oversized packages. The fees can be steep on whatnot. So be very, very, very careful of that. I want to do a giveaway, but we have a ton of questions. So we'll answer questions while you're entering the giveaway.
Okay.
So I wanted to show, because I have different, like, people ask me how I ship pillows and like sheets and comforters. The answer is giant poly bags, like giants. These are great for pillows, for plush. And then listen, so our postmaster has decided she loves the GRO pack. Thank you. Look, so if you haven't got your linen sales from me yet, they are going to be in these cute little handle bags.
Cute.
They are so cute. So I'm going to give away 2 sets of GRO pack. You can get any color, any size in stock. You pick if you win. GRO pack will mail it to you. So let's do hashtag GRO pack for that. And then I'm going to give away tape that we all demanded. You guys told me to demand it from Joel, and I did, and he gave in. So we do have free tape from American Bubble Boy as well, because we demanded it. All right, let's answer a question. You guys put in hashtag GRO pack. We're going to keep answering your questions, and we're going to hide Patrick for a minute. Does anyone know of an inexpensive way to move listings from one store to another, not a long-term subscription? I was thinking of opening a clearance store.
An inexpensive way to move listings from one store to another. So if we're talking from like eBay to a new eBay store.
I think that's what she means.
Okay. I do not know of any bulk way to move from one account to another account on eBay. I've never done it. I don't know anyone who has, so I guess I'll have to pass on this one.
I'll pass it to Rod. I have never done that either.
So I would say this perfectly will allow you to take 2 accounts and you can move your items to the List Perfectly. And then from List Perfectly, you can actually move those to the other eBay account. So that would probably be the best bet. You can start List Perfectly as, I think, as little as $29 for the month. Doesn't mean you have to keep your subscription. But I mean, it is a good way to back up all your listings as well. So, I mean, that would be my recommendation.
That would be my recommendation as well, but it is a long-term subscription. So if you were just copying those listings over one time, you would only need the 1 month of List Perfectly for $29.99. But if you're going to be continually moving items into that clearance store, then you would need the long-term subscription. My suggestion, I don't suggest anybody have 2 eBay stores. It was an epic fail for me. I could not keep up with the 2 because I couldn't get notifications for both stores on my phone, and I kept forgetting to check it. I had late shipments. Why don't you just make a clearance section in your store or run a clearance sale on the items you want in your store? That's what I would recommend. Yes, everybody wants GRO pack. We saw Patrick for 2 seconds. There he is. Oh, me and Rod both clicked it. One of us hit him, one of us unhit him. We already have 149 entries. I'm going to pick 2 winners. So let's go ahead and pick the 2 winners. You can still keep entering until I draw the second one, though. So let's see who's going to win the first. And you, if you win, let's see who I'm talking to. Dun, 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 dun. Lucas won a month of List 2 shows ago. Lucas, buy a lotto ticket. Lucas, you need to message me with your mailing address. Go to gropack.com and pick what you want, the color and the size. Tell me what color and size you want. Make sure it's in stock and send me your mailing address. Let's pick another and go buy a lotto ticket. All right, let's pick another winner. He just won a free month of List Perfectly like 3 weeks ago, I think. Dun, da, da, da. Fabulous Flamingos. Congrats. Same deal.
Congratulations.
Okay. Oh, we need tape. Hold on. We need free tape because everybody said so. And I demanded it from Joel. Okay. It is hashtag my go-to tape. It is from American Bubble Boy. You'll get a free 6-pack of American Bubble Boy tape. You guys enter. We'll answer another question. What is the best gadget or way to organize boxes in a small place?
I don't know about a small. I have a finished basement, so I have a huge basement to put all my inventory. So I haven't had to figure out small spaces. I would say anything that you can do like height wise versus width wise is helpful. So the storage shelves, the plastic one, metal ones, it's really about preference and weight of your items. I do heavy books, so I have to make sure that the plastic storage shelving that I have can handle a lot of weight per shelf. But really, I think that helps is when you have things that you can stack on each other or have, high shelving that you can use. I guess that's what I would recommend.
I agree. The vertical space is best. I actually came up with this solution with board games, since I actually have a pretty big board game collection, and a lot of them are called like small form factor, right? And if you try to put them on a shelf, then you try to pull one out, everything's going to fall down. Boxes in boxes, basically, right? So thinking IKEA Kallax is a pretty popular brand for storing things, and then the little drawers that go in and out of those come in all sorts of different sizes. So I've got tons of that kind of stuff in my storage unit where I can just slide in little drawers and out. All my little things that are going to go in there go into those little drawers, and then that goes right up onto the shelf, and I can stack them sometimes two on top of each other or in front of each other, and I can slide them in and out very easily. And that's worked really well for me. And honestly, I've had the same problem over the years where it's like, what are you going to do? This has been my best bet, is the boxes in boxes.
Yeah, I reorganize probably like every 2-3 months because I got to play Tetris. I keep getting inventory coming in. I got boxes coming in. I just got to keep moving my stuff around. So this is why it's so important to be organized from the very beginning. I said that's a big key thing. I mean, I would always recommend people that literally take an entire day and just reconfigure like all your stuff, like your storage inventory, your box inventory, everything, so that it does work for you, because things do change, but there's no easy way with it. You just got to be really organized.
Yeah, I agree. I have a metal shelf for all my boxes because like the big boxes of boxes are not lightweight. They're pretty heavy when you put a lot of boxes together. So I have a shelf for more. I just got the 100 boxes from Rod. If they're not flat, they take up a lot of space. I also am going next weekend to get 300 more boxes. And my husband so kindly reminded me I have an empty house next door. So if you have it, that's not a small space though. So I'm lucky I have room. But I would know which boxes you're using. I'm assuming you mean about packing. I would know which boxes you're using and only get the ones you're using, and maybe find somewhere more out of the way. Like I'm keeping all my big Amazon boxes. I had been throwing them away because we weren't selling a lot of big stuff, but now I've got a lot of big boxes that I got from Rod that are gonna need to go in bigger boxes. And those are in my laundry room. Basically, like Patrick said, I'm stacking them inside of one another so they're not taking up a ton of space. But definitely organize it. It has to be organized is going to be the key to using the space you have. I also want to say real quick before I draw this winner, on both American Bubble Boy, my go-to tape, and Giaro pack, you get 10% off of any Giaro pack order, no matter how much you spend. And they are the cheapest on poly mailers. I have researched it. I can tell you that 100%. They're good quality. So the Nurse Flipper, all one word, and the Nurse Flipper for my go-to tape, you get 5% off. You can use it every time. It's not a one-time coupon. So definitely those are both companies I use. And we're going to draw for some tape from Joel. Joel is the owner of American Bubble Boy, and he's amazing. Dun, da, da, da. Angie Cummings. Angie, all I need you to do is email me, because Joel gives me a fancy smancy code that I give you to get it for free. So you don't have to give your address, just email me and I will get you the code for that. Joel gave us 5 free packs when it first came out. And then when we ran out, you, the audience, said, "Where is the tape?" And so I went to Joel and I said, "Joel, The people want more tape. And Joel gave me more tape to give you guys. So
He provided.
thank you, Joel, for doing that. I appreciate it. Okay, next question from Karen. If you went into a thrift store you've never been in before, what's the first area you go to?
What's it gonna be, Katey?
I'm a
What's it gonna be?
bookseller. You're right. I'm a bookseller, so I go to the books first. But that said, if they had like an ephemera or like linen section or lightweight items like crafting section, I'll look at that section as well, because my ephemera auctions actually do really, really well on Whatnot. I have a little crafting community that really likes, I only do a show once a month, but it's like exciting for them because I bring really, really good inventory once a month. Not that I don't bring good inventory with my weekly book auctions, but it's just kind of like a special treat, you know, for people. So I will look at that for sure. And then after that, I go to like media. So DVDs, CDs, things like that. And then video games is kind of my final stop. I don't sell clothing. I don't want to get into clothing. If I absolutely am desperate to find something, I will go to toys and electronics, which I hate selling toys and electronics, but I'll go to that first before I touch a piece of clothing. So that's just my kind of, that's how I would mosey around a new thrift store.
Okay, that couldn't have been a better segue if I had planned it, because I'm going to go electronics, then toys, like first in the store.
That's awesome.
Love electronics. DVD, VHS players, I buy them all the time. They're a big part of my store. And sometimes, right, you said video games, sometimes they're mixed in with the electronics, sometimes not. So it just kind of depends on if they are or not. And then I love selling toys, even though I don't really make a lot of money off of them, but I just love toys, and I have a bigger collection than I probably should. Probably I can see Rod's collection behind him back there. He probably has a similar problem to me where I just love them too much where I can't get away from them. But it's going to be electronics, then toys, then probably the glass cabinets, right? Almost every thrift store has that where they've got their marked up stuff, but you know, they always miss stuff, I feel like. So I'm always finding good deals there. Then I'm going to hit media, and then I'm going to go through like pretty much anything that's not clothes. Because like you said, Katey, I'm not going to touch clothes if I can help it. I will occasionally buy them from garage sales if they're a good deal, but not at a thrift store. I'm just not going to go through the racks. It's just not fun to me. So,
yeah. So for me, it's going to be first thing is going to go straight to the media / electronics, because I'm going to look for video games hidden in the DVD section. I go right to electronics, but also too, one of my best finds always at thrift stores is media. I do really, really well finding media at thrift stores. Then I'm going to probably hit the shoes and also hit the t-shirts. I'm going to hit toys probably before all that, and then hit shoes and t-shirts. I'll try to look through there for some vintage tees, and then I'll also just go through the shoes and stuff like that. And then probably maybe jackets. I think jackets are overlooked a lot of times, especially in Florida, and I do really well with jackets in Florida.
Yeah, so I would honestly take a look at what it looked like. It would really depend on that. I haven't been thrifting in months. I typically go for linens first. I love linens, so linens would probably be my first. I then look at like the glassware collectibles. Then I go to t-shirts. Then I go to jackets. I do not stop at toys or electronics typically at all. So that is what I typically do, but I haven't been. It's funny because I tried to stop at one. When I went to pick the boxes up from Rod, I convinced Brad to go, and they were in an area that was flooded by the hurricane, and they hadn't yet reopened. So my attempt to go thrifting for the first time in months was thwarted by Hurricane Idalia. So, but I really wanted to look. There was so much stuff outside from donations, and Brad is like, "That is not your stuff." I'm like, "But look at
I know,
there was
right?
so much stuff."
How it was during COVID. So much stuff sitting outside our Goodwill. I'm like, oh my God, I wish this wasn't private property.
Just sitting. I almost asked them because I messaged them, and they do a lot of like giving it away free because they get so much, and it's a small thrift store. I almost wanted to be like, do you need someone to take all the stuff from outside of the store since you're not opening? I could totally help. KJ send a $10 super chat. I haven't done this one all show, so I am going to give you Dalton at the beach, and thank you so much. He's so dramatic.
I love him.
Miss Chance is following up from 2 shows ago. So she had a Vernon March statue, and she said most of the comps are from auction houses. They are not from eBay. So if you saw mostly comps, I know WorthPoint will show you online auction comps.
That's what I was going to
If you only saw online auction comps, not eBay, how would you price it?
Yeah, I would go straight to WorthPoint with something like that. I mean, a statue isn't something I would typically like
But
have,
what if WorthPoint had no eBay, only auction
So-
houses? Like pretend it's something else.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. In that case, I mean, I would refer to Google and just see like what's out there. I would go to Google and then click shop and then just kind of see where people have it listed and then compare that to what auction houses have had it at. And then really, I would see if anybody else anywhere, I mean, if it's not even listed on other platforms, then it's kind of like pulling a cat. I call that pulling a cat because cat frequently makes the market for certain items that are very one-off. But I don't know Vernon March. I don't know if this is a common thing or a common brand. I mean, I don't know enough
You
about
said it's not anywhere. It's
this
like nowhere.
specific. Okay. Yeah. So then, I mean, at that point, you're pulling a cat. You're going to have to just create your own market based on the research that you're able to find. And, I mean, have best offers turned on, whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah, for sure. If you're not comfortable doing an auction, list high and be willing to accept the best offer. But you could always take that chance and promote the heck out of it, list it as an auction for 10 days, something like that. But researching, honestly, that's what I love to do almost more than selling. Is I love doing research on pricing and categories, and just trying to see, like, can I find anything that's similar? Maybe I won't be able to find Vernon March, but it's a similar type brand, and seeing what they're selling for. And again, don't be afraid to set the price much higher than you think it's worth, because the market's going to tell you if that's a good price or not right away. If you get people reaching out immediately saying, oh, can you take 20% off, something like that, people were interested, then you're going to know immediately that you have something there. So the sky's kind of the limit. Like we're saying, that Katey said it best, like make it a cat item where you're going to make your own market on it. I like that a lot.
So I'm interested to see how you did your research, because if you just looked on eBay comps only go back 90 days.
Well, no, so she's saying from auction houses, though, Rod. So that leads me to think she's using WorthPoint, though.
Yeah, so that was my thing. I mean, if you use Terapeak, you can go back 2 years, but if you use WorthPoint, they're pulling up from auction houses. That means that there hasn't been one list in the past 10 years on eBay. Okay, so right there that's an important flag that brings to your attention. Also, too, you have to remember, when you buy from an auction house is going to charge a buyer 20% premium for that item. And the reason for that is they handle the shipping, they handle the item. Buyers are more comfortable buying it at an auction house at a higher price than they will on eBay. And I've done a bunch of, I deal with a lot of high-end collectibles. And I would say in the comic book world, in the video game world, VHS world, graded games, graded stuff is always going to sell higher at an auction house than it will on eBay, because a lot of people have the peace of mind going through a legit seller, a legit site, because they have the items there. That's why they're paying that 20% on top of there. They're insured. And also, too, the buyers are vended on there. So, like, for example, if you go to an auction house, if you want to spend over $10,000, you have to be approved on there before they allow you to spend $10,000 on there. So these are really important information you need to know when it comes to this. So if you're having an item like this, and you're telling me it's only listed at auction houses, I would reach out to these auction houses that have dealt with this before, send them pictures of what you have. And if it's that rare, or if it's bringing big money, a lot of auction houses will waive your fees and allow you to actually ship it to them. And they will actually, or even pay for the shipping for you and have it sent to them. And they will put it up for sale, because I don't know what that's going for, but if it's a higher end item, it could really bring money. And auction houses will bend over backwards to get items like that. So that would be my first route. I would contact them, because if you just send pictures to all the different auction houses you saw on there, they will give you an estimated value based on the market and based on their previous sales on those. At that point in time, you can dictate what route you want to go. But if you are going to list on eBay, I would look at the prices of auction houses. I would list it high or even higher than that, put a best offer on it, and sit back, because it's probably going to be a long tail item, and let the market dictate what they're going to send an offer to you. But I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't reach out to the auction houses. That's where the buyer market is currently for that item.
I have noticed on WorthPoint, when you see the auction houses, they are typically lower, and Rod mentioned this, they are typically lower than what stuff sells for on eBay. Like me, when I'm buying from auction houses, not like Sotheby's and like the high-end auction houses, but regular auction houses, I'm getting it cheaper to resell it or get a deal. So if I saw something only on auction houses, I would probably price it up like 25 to 50% for eBay, because it has never been available on there. And like Patrick said, you're going to know if people are sending you offers, especially if they're sending offers fast. So I would look for other Burn in March statues. That's what you need to see, is how popular is Burn in March. Not necessarily the exact statue you have, but the artist himself. How popular is he? And most of the time I am going to price higher. And I also, if I see on WorthPoint it hasn't sold in 5 years, I'm going to do like 1.5 times what it sold for last time. I'm going to really price it up, because it hasn't been on the market. So that's like Katey saying, like, I have the only one. When you have the only one, you set the price. What is it worth? It's worth what they're willing to pay. Whether they're willing to pay your price or not, you aren't going to know unless you ask it. And if it sells really fast, you set it a little too low, probably.
Pat, and if I'm not mistaken, I think WorthPoint only pulls from the major auction houses. They don't pull from little auction houses.
No, I've seen them little ones. No, I've seen little ones.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen quite a few like no-name ones that I've never even heard of. They're not like the bigger ones. I don't know if maybe they're using like live auctioneers. They're probably using one of the sites, either HiBid or Live Auctioneers, that has all the auction houses on one site, and then they're pooling it into their data.
Well, I know they pull from Golden Auction, and then the Golden Auction does all their own stuff on there. So I would have to get the research.
A lot of different names.
We need to research that, kind of find out where they're pulling all the information from. That'd be good to know.
Yeah, for sure. Because I don't know which. I just looked something up. Let me see. Hold on. So mine, actually, CT Bids is on there, and CT Bids is like HiBid, where they have hundreds of auctions. That's funny, because I've never seen it on there. But what I was researching before we started doing the show, it has a CT Bids comp. And the CT Bids comp, here's the crazy thing. This is making my point. The one CT Bids comp is $12, and the others are $35 to $150. So it is significantly, that auction house is significantly lower than other ones. So is anybody else going to be doing eBay Open via streaming?
Not this year.
Nope.
Probably not. Last year I tried to go on there because somebody was like, one of the speakers is talking about you. And I was like, oh, let me in. And I couldn't get in. I tried. But yeah, I'm honestly, I'm way too busy right now. So yeah. What is an item that you found is selling good right now? One thing, what's selling good for you? I'm going to have to look at my sales real quick.
Right.
Manga books. That is really hot right now, especially on platforms like Whatnot. I've been sourcing that like crazy. That is one thing that I don't get a lot in my free book pickups. So I will go out and source manga, and even ex-library, even ones that are from library discards still sell good.
I sell too many different things, I think, to really have one thing that's selling good. Rod would probably agree with me. Like, video games are always a strong seller for me. Like, no matter what time of year it is, they always do well. Lately, I've been getting into flatware, silverware, and that's actually been doing really well for me. So I'm selling a ton of that lately.
Nothing better than getting photobombed and not know it.
Oh, did my wife walk by?
Yeah.
Yeah, wave, maybe wave back.
So I don't even want to say this, but Magnum condoms, they have 100% sell-through rate. I just bought it. I knew it was going to come. But yeah, I bought a massive collection at a massive purchase at a flea market that someone got it from a storage unit, and they were selling like hotcakes, believe it or not. That
Wow.
Magnum books also too. I've been selling a ton of those lately. I've had 2 big pickups of those, but yeah, they've been selling really well. But
That
yeah,
and
who would
like
have thought?
the horror graphic novels, but I mean it's spooky season, so a lot of people are into
Yeah.
horror.
Hard
right
stuff
now anyway.
sells all year round too, really
Mhm.
well.
It is football season, people. It is football season. I'm telling tons of football stuff. NFL, college,
Go sports.
tons. I love football. My husband hates football. We're like a backwards house here. He puts in his headphones and I watch football all weekend. Yeah, I would say football stuff for sure. We already answered. So road tripper, thrifter, do a private show to practice your auction on whatnot. Jacqueline wants to know, if you can't find anything on Google Lens, are there other free options you can look at?
I mean, I've had this happen, especially when it's like a foreign language book and the Google Translator is not doing well at all for me. Sometimes what I'll do, you'd have to be set up as an Amazon seller, but sometimes what I do is I'll go to the Amazon Seller Central app. That's free to me because I'm set up as a seller, and I'll sometimes scan it on there and we'll be able to find more information about the item. But even if you're not a seller, maybe you could enter in some keyword information on Amazon as well if you're having a hard time finding it on Google. But I'm inclined to think if you're not finding it on Google and it didn't bring up any Amazon listings, you may not find it that way. So I guess another option would be sites that are specific to that category. So also if I'm having a really hard time finding a specific book, I'll sometimes go to like Abe Books or Thrift Books or some really big other book sites. And sometimes I'll find them there. But again, all those things kind of funnel back into Google. So very rarely do I need to do that and it not funnel into Google for whatever reason. But it's happened to me before. And then sometimes in those cases, I just kind of look it up with keywords and or maker's marks and try to just dive in a different way.
It might kind of circle back to something Rod had said earlier, which was don't waste your time on pennies. Sometimes it might be that if you can't find it quickly, it's not going to be valuable. Now, of course, if you know, because we all know our niches, hey, this actually does have value, but it's one of those diamonds in the rough. Okay, now do more research. But right, cheap plastic, something like that, can't find it. To me, it's going right into the donate bin. I'm not going to spend any more time on it. But like Katey just said, lots of these specific websites out there. So last year I bought a lot of vintage G1 transformers from the 80s. And it comes with 1,000 pieces, which to me, I was just drooling over this lot, not because of the actual toys, because of the parts. And I went out to a bunch of the different specific Transformers websites where they show you every single accessory for every toy ever made. And I combed through them until I identified everything. And I sold a bunch of them for $20, $30, $40 for these tiny little plastic guns, which everybody I know was like, that was garbage. And I'm like, no, that was money. But go into these
somebody else would have saw plastic and threw it in the donate bin.
The exact opposite of what I said, wasn't it? But in my niche that I knew, it was like, okay, I knew what sites I could use and leverage. And then, like you said, the Amazon scanner app for a lot of things, surprisingly does a really good job sometimes. When eBay fails me or when Google Lens doesn't, a lot of times my FBA app will help me out too.
I would say if Google Lens doesn't work, I would look for items that are similar to that and just price accordingly to that. Or probably one of the best resources a lot of people miss out on is Facebook groups. You can find Facebook groups for books, for toys, for parts. Post pictures up there. If you can't get a quick answer on there, move on, and don't waste your time on that. Or just list it up at a high price or buy it now, and then just slowly move that price down month after month. If you're not getting views or people are looking at it.
Yeah, so I don't take a long time to research anything, even a lot of my high dollar stuff. I very, very rarely spend a lot of time researching. So a lot of times I don't find anything on Google Lens. So I will use words to describe it and search for similar items on eBay and kind of use that to determine. Like today I had a bunch of magnets. I guess I thought they were worth money at one point. Now I have to pay somebody to list them, and a lot of stuff is not worth listing. Dalton happens to love magnets, so now our new fridge is covered in magnets. But I would not pick something up like this unless, like Patrick said, I knew. Like there's some stuff, especially like we listed a lot of old framed photographs today. That stuff I know, and I know it has value. So if you don't know it has value and you can't find it, my suggestion would be to leave it at the store, because if you don't know it, you're going to end up with a lot of stuff that very possibly is not worth money. And I still pick up stuff that I think is worth money, and it is not, even after doing this for over 20 years.
Yep.
But if you're new, I would say I would try to enforce that rule on yourself a little bit stronger, because you could end up with a lot of things that are not worth money. So if you have an item from a lot, that's a different situation. But if you're looking at it in a store, I would not get it. All right. We have a couple of questions for Patrick and Katey. Sean wants to know, or Kate, actually Patrick and Katey can both answer this. Rod, are you doing FBA too?
No, not right now.
Okay. So Katey and Patrick, what is one of the things on Amazon FBA you wish you knew before you started?
So I started in 2019. I guess I think with FBA, I really tried to put way too many carts before the horse. I would have probably taken a step back and not, because I was diving into books. So like there's all this software and repricers and Scout IQ and all these things, because books are low barrier to entry. You can usually go right away into Amazon FBA with books. You don't need to be ungated. You don't need restriction access. You know, there's none of that. So I purchased a lot of software, and I felt like I was just like constantly catching up to try and justify those costs. So first starting out, I just recommend using Amazon Seller Central app. It is very, very useful. I still use it to this day. I don't do any additional software now. I mostly do only books exclusively on eBay. I send in very few books monthly to FBA, because now I've transitioned to more toys, groceries, replenishable, that type of thing for FBA. And again, I use Amazon Seller Central app for all of that, to look it up, to see if it's worth it. And then I guess another thing is just make sure you have your ducks in a row as far as like paperwork and finances and all of that, because Amazon is very strict about having, you know, your documentation in place. And so you need to for sure decide, like, is this going to be an LLC? Is this going to be under my personal name? Like, what am I doing? And you need to have a separate account set up, and you need to have your financial ducks in a row when you set up that account. Because I didn't, and then that transition of having to change everything over to my LLC was kind of a pain in the butt, to be honest. So I think those were the two biggest things. Just use the free resource that they give you in the beginning. And then if you decide to purchase softwares and expand, that's great. But still to this day, Facebook FBA, we're talking about Amazon FBA. Did I say Facebook? I didn't mean to say Facebook. Sorry.
Easy mistake to make.
Amazon
One
FBA.
of those platforms.
Right?
It's been a long
I'm
night.
selling DVDs, brand new DVDs mostly, CDs, and board games with a couple other things mixed in. Mostly focused on DVDs. I was just looking for a way to monetize all the million of DVDs we see at garage sales constantly and at thrift stores. And I thought this would be a good way to do it. And I think instead of one thing, I have two things that I can say I wish I knew, which was getting ungated I think I ended up taking a loss of like half of what I invested in my initial ungating purchase, which I didn't realize I was going to do that. So continue to do that research ahead of time on how much the fees are going to be. I was very surprised. And like we've all said a couple of times, I think it's like, okay, we continuously make these kinds of learning mistakes as we go through this business. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, okay, chalk that up to learning. The good news was I did make enough in my first year doing this that it more than made up for that. The second thing I would say that I still am surprised about is that I can be randomly ungated by specific companies when they decide to tighten the gap. So like originally I had been ungated in the DVD category in general, and then randomly Sony just gated me at some point. And I was like, well, that's really odd. And I had to do a lot of research to like try and get back and go buy more Sony stuff to get ungated again. And I was like, I wish I'd known that ahead of time. I would have been a lot more cautious about some of the things I had purchased.
Perfect. All right. I missed a super chat. Sorry, Bridget. Bridget sent a $1.99 super chat. Thank you. And she said tax time is coming up. Any tips?
We kind of covered it at the beginning of the show, Bridget, if you wanted to rewind. But this quick summary for me is just, essentially have your ducks in a row now. If you don't have your ducks in a row, get them in a row now. And then, like Rod said, I really like Rod's suggestion of handling it weekly. I personally choose to do it monthly. I was in the banking industry for 12 years and we did a lot at month end. So that's just kind of hardwired into my brain now, unfortunately. So I do a lot at month end, but doing it weekly is probably an even better approach if you if even doing it monthly is a little bit too much for you. But again, every business is different, so monthly might not be that bad. But just make sure you have, your receipts, your documentation, your reports printed out or saved electronically or however you're doing it. And if you're doing your own taxes, Godspeed. If you're paying someone to do them, like we kind of talked about earlier in the show, make sure that you're just kind of interviewing tax consultants and they understand what you're doing. They understand e-commerce. They kind of understand how eBay works a little bit and can have your back during tax time.
Yeah, for sure. Like Katey said, definitely go back and watch what we talked about earlier in the show. I learned some stuff about it. Start early, right? That's probably the biggest thing here. And then, like Katey said, find a cadence that you can continuously stay up to date. Personally, I'm a do it immediately kind of person. I get afraid I'm going to forget because I know I will unless I document immediately. And I built my own process for how I want to do that. I keep everything organized in Excel. And then at the end of the year, I can just go through the Excel spreadsheet and total up all my different expenses from the different categories.
I think they handle it pretty well, Kat. So good.
Yeah, I'm good. Okay, Dolphin. We're not going to get through these questions.
Yeah, we got to try to power through some.
All right. Patrick, where do you live in Connecticut?
I live just outside of Hartford in Newington, Connecticut.
Perfect. Katey, I have 20 little golden books. Is it typically better to sell in a lot?
Yes.
Is there a certain amount you would say?
I thought we were powering through questions.
No, hold on. I'm going through, how many would you recommend? 10, 20?
So I think if you have 20, you should sell a 20 lot. I would look through a few of them and make sure none of them are super duper vintage and need to be sold on their own. But even if they, some are a little bit higher dollar amount than the others, you could still just beef up your bulk starting price if you wanted to do an auction or just do a higher buy now with best offer turned on. But a 20 lot is very typical with golden books. I would say 10 plus for lots.
Okay. I'm going to answer this. I'm going to deem myself the specialist. Other than HiBid, what online auction companies are in California? HiBid does not have much. I agree with you. I do live sourcing for my members. And for California, we do not use HiBid. We use MaxSold. MaxSold is estate sales. California is California. A lot of things are more expensive. That includes the stuff at the online estate sales. If you're in California, I see some big lots. So on some of the MaxSold, it's MaxSold. I do see some bigger lots that I would personally bid on. You do have to pay up. It's rare to find cheaper lots like we can in other parts of the country. So you might want to look at shipping on HiBid. That is how I get 90% of my stuff. Hey, Shagan, super chat. Here's Rod. Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Until next time.
I'm going to resell it.
Okay, we got 4 minutes. So now we are really answering fast. Is Mercari changing their shipping to UPS?
I don't sell on Mercari.
Don't sell them, Mercari.
Not that I know of, but I do sell Mercari.
No, you can still pick from UPS, FedEx, Post Office.
Which is,
Katey.
are they changing the shipping to UPS? I thought it said.
You pick. Yeah, you
Oh,
pick.
okay.
I haven't seen them limiting it. I still see all
Okay.
3 options. Katey, do you sell both children books and books for adults? And which, like if you had to pick children or adults, which would you say sells better?
Yeah, I sell it all, and I would say neither. I would say Bibles and vehicle repair manuals are my best sellers.
Perfect. Daughter wants to put our eBay store in my name and Social Security for taxes. Can we do that without me having to start over and rebuild? I don't think you can change the main account holder, but you could change it to a business and get a federal EIN number under your name. But that would be the only way. They're not going to let you change like the primary owner on it. But you can change it to a business account and get a federal EIN. Vicky wants to know how long before you paid yourself after starting eBay.
About 2.5 years in, because I already have my 9-to-5. I had a good corporate job, so it wasn't really about like paying myself. I was initially starting eBay just to pay off debt and to save money and to, just kind of see where it would take me. And then when COVID happened, I started switching gears and thinking that maybe this is something I want to do one day full time. So about a year and a half in, about a year and a half in is when I started paying myself. I mean, it wasn't a lot in the beginning, but I started getting into that mindset and allocating a paycheck to myself.
I would agree. It was about a year and a half in. I started for the same reasons: pay off debt, try and cover some bills that I had coming in. And the first year, it was all about putting those sales into new inventory again to just make more sales. So then once I finally had that kind of rolling, I was able to pay myself about a year and a half.
So when I first started on eBay, my collections were getting too expensive for me. So I did that. Was just started buying lots, sell the items off so I could pay for my items. So I would say from the beginning, I always made a profit from eBay right away. But because I had a 9-to-5, I had a regular job, I always reinvested the money back into eBay to build my collections, to build my inventory up. And I just kept rinse and repeat that throughout the years. And I kept getting bigger and bigger stuff. And then I would just take money out if I had big expenses and just reinvest it right back in the business. So I would say once I came full time, I started paying myself right away because that's my only part of my income. But I mean, if you do it right, you can really build a business if you do it long term by just reinvesting as you have a job until you make that step.
Yeah, and I, from the beginning, would just take only what I needed to pay bills. So I paid myself something from the beginning. Like I was doing 4 days nursing. I cut it down to 3. So I significantly decreased my income. But I would only take what I had to have for bills. I wouldn't pay myself any extra. It all got reinvested. I think in the beginning, it is really important to pay yourself the least amount possible so that you can reinvest and build the business, because that's what keeps making it, bigger and bigger and helps it grow. All right. Last question. Susan wants to know, how do you keep track of all the messages on the different platforms? Do they all go to your main email? I missed some messages amongst other random emails I get. I'm assuming she means messages on the platforms.
So, I mean, I have notifications turned on for every platform that I am seriously selling on. So Pango Books, Whatnot, eBay, Amazon. And those are my 4 that I am very, that I have listings on and I'm active with. So I get immediately notifications on my iPhone anytime there's a message, a sale, an offer, a question, a DM. I mean, unfortunately, I'm kind of just attached to my phone that runs good 90% of my business. So
very same answer for me, Katey. Honestly, like just my phone tells me immediately when I have a message. The email might save me occasionally if I missed it for some reason. But for the most part, everything's going to come out as a pop-up and I can read it immediately. And then probably the easiest thing is just try to respond in a timely fashion so that you can get it out of your inbox and get it into your sent items or whatever it is.
So I'm same as them. I have pop-ups pretty much on all my stuff. My only recommendation to you, if you're missing things, make it part of your daily routine. Like every morning, maybe you check all your inboxes and all your selling platforms that you're on, and you do that every morning at like 9 o'clock in the morning. That's the first thing you do. So even if it is 24 hours, you're still responding in a timely manner, and you're not missing anything along the way.
Yeah, so my email is trained to think that eBay is spam, and I never see any emails from eBay. So I look on my seller overview on eBay a lot. It'll say unread messages, unanswered questions about items. I mark them once they're answered. I probably miss a lot on Poshmark, but I do get the instant notifications from all the platforms on my phone. I'm like, Katey, my phone, if you've ever messaged me, you know this, my phone is in my hand if I'm awake. Even on the boat, I was listing items when we were on the boat going fishing. So I probably missed some, but I would say it's 4 platforms. Check the messages once in the morning or once at night and just look and see if you have new messages or comments, and make that a habit to check every night. It probably wouldn't hurt me to do that myself. But typically, if they really want to know, from what I have noticed, people will message you again. They do not go away. Sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad. All right. It is 10:03. I'm going to let Katey and Patrick tell you guys goodbye, and then Rod will tell you what he's got going on. I'll tell you what I've got going on, and then we'll tell you who's on next week. So here is Katey.
My Wi-Fi is acting weird, so hopefully you guys hear me and can see me. Check me out on Whatnot. I have an auction on Sunday where it's Banned Books Week. So we are going to bring some awareness to banned and challenged books. And we are going to be auctioning off books and doing a raid train. So there's quite a few people involved, and it's going to be all week long. So definitely check that out. And I do ephemera shows usually once a month. So if you're into ephemera, craft supplies, that type of thing, check me out there. And I have a YouTube channel, and I like to talk about reselling on it and reselling books. So if that's your cup of tea, and if that's something you want to learn more about, check me out on YouTube, and then on Instagram as well. I'm there if you guys have any questions. I do offer one-on-one like consulting and talking. If you're like really serious and you want to learn inventory acquiring methods, management of inventory, how, should I do Amazon? Should I do eBay? Like, really serious strategy wise discussions, we can definitely get into that. And that's something that I offer as well.
Perfect. Here's Patrick.
So yeah, check me out on YouTube as well. Patrick the Picker there. I am on eBay as Patrick the CT Picker on eBay because somebody has already stolen Patrick the Picker there. So CT for Connecticut. I've got my contact information on YouTube if you wanted to reach out, ask me any questions. Yeah, super easy there. Thank you, Kat and Rod, for having me. It was super fun, and I had a really good time.
Perfect. Rod, what's going on?
I got a Whatnot tomorrow night. Tons of vintage Disney items. Everything's starting at $2, so make sure you go check that out. And I got a pin one coming up next Monday. I am heading to the Reselling rally up in Cincinnati this week. So if you guys are up there, come say hi. Let's hang out. Let's grab a beer. Let's talk. And then I dropped a new video on YouTube today. Check it out. I'm picking and punching. And I also have a second channel called Flipping and Punching. You can direct link is on my picking page. So make sure you guys check that out. I'm trying to get that to 1,000 subs. We're about 602 right now. So slowly getting there. But oh yeah, and then email me if you guys have any questions on Instagram,
right?
Or Instagram or on Facebook. I will answer any question we didn't get to today, as always.
Perfect. I also have a Whatnot tomorrow night. I'm doing vintage linens. I do them Wild Wild West style. So you can tell me if you want handkerchiefs, if you want scarves, if you want napkins, if you want tablecloths, whatever you want. I have a lot of linens to pull from. So we're running that Wild Wild West style. The hankies and the scarves, no matter what they are named, where they're from, are $3 starts. The bigger linens, I start at $5. Some sets, I start at $10. There's plenty of room on all of the linens for resellers. And if they don't sell at $3, I added another one. So you get them for $1.50. I've occasionally had lots of 3, but we've never gotten more than lots of 3 before it sells for $3. So I do add and keep adding until it sells. That's one of my new being random things that I've been doing on Whatnot. I did not put a video out this week because I needed a break. I was like, yeah. So I took a break. I will put another video out on Thursday of what sold, and our sales are back up to almost $2,500 for the week. So I will go over what that is. I'm happy with where eBay is at right now. Next week, we will have Derek Fundamentals and Miss Regina Michelle on with us. So we are looking forward to that. I appreciate you guys watching, and we are here every single Tuesday. So come and see us, and we will see you guys on the next one. Bye for now, guys.